Good morning, my loves. Today is Friday, and you've had a week's worth of lots of writing. And I hope that at this point you're feeling, like, wow, I really worked hard this week. And if not, well, today's the day to start. I want to teach you something that it occurred to me you might not know exactly how to do. And that is how to add this action and dialogue into your writing. And and when and when you should start realizing that you haven't done it yet and that you want to start. So let me share my screen with you and show you what it was that occurred to me this morning and how I'm going to make some changes for that. First of all, I want to show you what I think you're going to see in today's writing. All right, so it should say on your screen this, and you should have spent some time reading this, and then you're going to watch this video, and then you're going to go and try it. So you at this point, you have made lists, you've done some sprints, you found some photos and written about them in your notebook, you found inspiration from other writers, you've added some action and dialogue maybe into your story, maybe you haven't, maybe you think that you did, but you actually didn't. And you always are putting a C at the top of your paper or an H if you're doing it at home, and you're writing the date on it and you're giving it a title, and you're trying to write for 45 minutes. I'm urging you to follow these guidelines because I do think that if you stay organized and do the things that I'm asking you to do, I really think that you're going to see progress. And you're going to look back at your notebook one day and you're going to see something like this on the first couple of days of school, something that looks like that. You're gonna be like, yeah, okay, that's pretty good. And then you're gonna go look way, way, way into your notebook on some random day, go, whoa, look at what I'm writing now. And you're gonna be so excited and proud of yourself. And then someday when you look back on this, you're gonna be like, whoa, I did this in third grade. I was like 8 years old. But aside from that, I'm gonna actually demo for you what I did. So I started writing this entry in my notebook. It's about somebody in my life. I was writing about a person that matters to me. And you've written this week. You wrote about a person that matters to you. You wrote about a place that matters to you. Maybe you wrote about a thing that matters to you. And if you haven't, you can. But let's see what happens when you are supposed to add some action and you're supposed to add some dialogue into your story. Here's my H because I'm doing it at home. Here's today's date, which is October 9th. For you, it's actually not October 9th. It's actually October 5th when I'm doing this. But shh, don't tell anybody. So if you say the name Ben, I don't have a title on this, but I'll come up with one after. If you say the name Ben, a very kind wave of warmth runs through me. He may arguably be the kindest man I have ever known. Friendly, big-hearted, authentic, and beyond a doubt, talkative. Benjamin Saw was the human in my life who trained me in 2019 to run 26 miles for the first time in my life. He was the person who talked to me hour after hour, mile after mile, to ensure that I wouldn't quit, so that instead I would learn. Oh, I'm going to cry right now. Sorry, there she goes again. Nancy's crying. I remember one day we set out to run 20 miles. This might be a good time for me to write my internal thinking. I remember one day we set out to run 20 miles. That morning, there's typos, I'm just going to keep going. I thought to myself, and maybe I'll put this in italics, Nancy, you must be crazy. You're going to run for like 3 hours without stopping. What if you fail? And I'm going to not italicize anymore. I met Ben at 6 a.m. in Central Park, and we started. About 2 hours into the run, and lots of conversation, it occurred to me that I hadn't said anything in quite some time. Now I'm going to put my dialogue in. I'm going to start a new paragraph. Quote, Ben, question mark, end quote, I asked. Do you, I'm going to continue writing what I'm saying, so another quote. Do you realize that you have been talking for 30 minutes and I have not said a word? I am fascinated by this. I think I have met my match. I think I have met someone who talks as much as I do. End quote. Now I want to reread what I wrote. I remember one day we set out to run 20 miles. That morning, I thought to myself, Nancy, you must be crazy. You're going to run for like 3 hours without stopping. What if you fail? I met Ben at 6 a.m. in Central Park, and we started about 2 hours into the run, and lots of conversation. It occurred to me that I hadn't said anything in quite some time. Ben, I asked, do you realize that you've been talking for 30 minutes and I have not said a word? I am fascinated by this. I think I've met my match. I think I have met someone who talks as much as I do. Now, there's a lot of typos in here, but I'm going to keep going because I don't want to lose my train of thought. Nancy, he said, smiling, his beautiful, bright glow. When I first moved here from Ghana, I didn't speak a word of English. I had to learn, and the only way to learn was to speak. Now, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about what I'm saying. I didn't want Ben to feel bad about what I had said to him, and we did have more conversation, but I wanted to show you how at this point I added into my story a little bit of thought and a little bit of dialogue. So maybe this would be a good place to add my action. I turned to him, held out my hand, and gave him a high five. I turned to him, I held out my hand, and gave him a high five. And whatever is going to happen in this particular part of my story from this point forward, it's up to me to write, and it's up to me to decide what's my message, what am I trying to share with my readers. And I'm going to keep going back and rereading what I wrote and add a little bit more. Go back, reread what I wrote, add a little bit more. Go back and you always go back and reread because you want to make sure that it makes sense. All right. I don't want to keep you. I want you to just try. Maybe rewatch this video if you need to, but just try to get out of your head what you're thinking about, and remember to stop, think, this is a good place for me to add some dialogue because I want to put my reader in the story with me. Is this a good place to add action? If I'm talking about, throwing a pitch, is there a way that I can show my readers what that motion looks like? Add the action, add the dialogue, add the internal thinking, and I can tell you right now, I promise, it's going to make your readers feel like they were part of the story with you. And then you will no longer be telling it, you'll be showing it. Okay. I hope you have a beautiful day of writing.